Good morning. I think we're live. I think
Hey everyone.
we're up and running. So, welcome to the Talent Matters webinar. My name is Dave Jenkins from Wave, CEO and founder. This is Tom. Say hello, Tom.
Hey guys, I'm the account manager at Wave.
Kind of classic game show line. What's your name? Where you come from? This is our third Talent Matters event. This one is obviously a webinar that we did the last two in real life. It's crazy to think that the last one we did was in February.
How long ago does that seem now, Dave?
Well, the funny thing is, we're talking about flexible working, and that companies or employees were asking, demanding, needing more flexible work-life balance. And little did we know,
It's gone right the other way.
Within a few months, suddenly we've got all the flexibility that we need, including homeschooling and everything. So it's a completely different world. So well, hello to everyone that was at that event and is joining us now. And I'm sure you can appreciate the new world that we're in. I'm not going to say the new normal, because everyone's heard that, way too many times already. But so what's this webinar is all about? We've got a few of these lined up over the next few weeks. We're going to try and give you an open and honest view of what's happening in the talent attraction world. Fairly casual conversation. If any of you know Tom or I, or have been to any of our events, you'll know it. Will stay fairly casual. So if questions or anything, then do fire them through. Say hello. I think you can write in the there's a chat thing you can write there as well. So fire those through if you want to. Our rhetoric at Wave is to help our clients to attract more talent. We want to create a world where talent is never missed. So we're going to try and cut away a lot of the sales fluff, a lot of the bullshit bingo of the rec tech world. We're going to try and get rid of that, and we really want to just tell you how it is and the best way for you as a business to attract more talent, either for your clients or to your own businesses yourselves. So today we are covering something that's been all over LinkedIn since kind of lockdown started, and it's all around job boards, job board advertising. Typically your job board or your job channel, attraction channels, are your third or fourth biggest investment as a recruitment organization. And generally now, when you're looking at an environment where there isn't as many jobs available, I know a lot of recruiters went from having almost hundreds of jobs down to a handful, and so there's been a huge discussion, demand for job boards and what people can do with their job boards, and where they can get the best out of those, or what really they can do.
I think it'll be good for the people watching as well. If you want to put any of your challenges in the chat column, then do that. Any questions, ask away. We'll try and answer whilst we're live, or even get back to you afterwards as well. So yeah, feel free to kind of pop that in the chat column, and we'll try and answer them as best as we can.
Absolutely. I mean, the Wave has been involved in recruitment, in the recruitment media buying world for 20 odd years now. And seems like a long time ago, that we started placing ads on the monster board. But we've done it for companies large and small. We normally work with a lot of the large job boards, but also some of the smaller ones as well. And Tom and I, we've worked together for 10 years now.
Yeah. Thereabouts.
So we've seen a fair amount during that time. We've witnessed power shifts from different job boards, kind of rise of Indeed, and everything that's brought with it, and the impact that's had on job boards. other fads. I say fads, but things like the sort of birth of mobile recruitment, social media recruitment, Google for Jobs, kind of terrified, excited people. And then, we've got this constant discussion around the death of the job board. And so we've kind of seen that. So we've got a fair amount of experience. The wrinkles are starting to show on you, Tom, not on me, obviously. But
you lend me some cream.
Yeah. I can't get it to you under social distancing rules. So, yeah, you certainly don't need any. Well, I could do the hair restorer actually. If I'll let you have my cream if you let me have your hair restorer.
I'm noticing the odd few grey hairs in the beard these days as well. It's all Total Jobs and Reed's fault. They stress me out.
Well, okay, let's get onto that then, because you typically work directly with the clients and the job boards. So I think it's worth starting with where we were before COVID, in terms of what we were happening. Any sort of fly on the walls listening to some of the conversations that you and I have had about the industry, we will be familiar with some of these things, but we've seen a lot of things we talked about with erratic pricing, sales, overly sort of sales approach, duration versus performance, all this sort of thing. What's been, do you think, that pre-COVID, what was the biggest challenge that in the industry?
I think is the ambition on both sides. So the ambition of the job boards and also the ambition of the clients is so far apart in terms of what their goals are and what they want. The last sort of 18 months or so, the job boards, especially across the recruitment agency market, have been desperately trying to push the prices up of what they charge recruitment agencies. They want to drive more revenue. They want to push the price up per unit, and you can kind of understand that there are reasons to this. They have to pay more for the traffic nowadays. Indeed, switching them off had an impact, so they have to buy this traffic from some of the smaller aggregators. They have to spread that budget across various, I think it's about 40 different suppliers now, and that probably provides about 35% of the traffic for each job that gets posted. So there's a cost there. The cost to advertise across Google, pay-per-click, all of these type of things. It does have an impact on their outgoing. So that's obviously been a factor. I think also they've realized over the years they have created an inconsistent pricing model, especially again across the recruitment agency market. Recruitment agencies have benefited from this. You've had overzealous salespeople that have aggressive targets that they need to hit these targets. So all of a sudden, £10 a job goes down to £8 a job, to £5 to £3 to £2, depending on the time of the month. And then all of a sudden, you've got these companies who've got these huge deals, but at a really low rate. And it's worked for a time for recruitment agencies, and obviously has its benefits because the returns have been really good. But now what you've got a real bum fight of kind of job board trying to push the prices up, and clients sort of going, well, hang about, last year I was paying X amount for jobs, you chucked in the CV search for free, now you want to charge me nearly 3, 4, 5 times the price. So that's obviously quite hard to swallow. And then on the other side, for the recruitment agencies, you've got a really competitive and difficult marketplace. So to have this over reliance on job boards is not ideal. So there's the ambition to kind of reduce that reliance and trying to look into alternative ways to generate candidates. So exploring your own talent pools, your own thing.
We had this a lot though, Tom, didn't we? Where sometimes clients would want to, almost make the bold statements of, right, we need to cut it by 50%. We're gonna get the traffic ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think in general, where the job boards have been really successful is they've got the market, they've got the candidates, and for a company to suddenly try and replace that traffic, that's
where the issues lie. Is some of the companies have done a good job in doing that. They've invested in the right areas. They've built up their own brand. They've started to attract talent via their website and through their own sort of social media marketing, stuff like this. But other clients have just sort of said, well, we want to reduce our spend, but they haven't actually looked at the alternative, or they haven't actually, it's a decision that's come maybe from senior management, maybe from finance teams, and they haven't actually said, well, if we do that, what's on the flip side? How do we kind of replace that traffic?
Where did the candidates come from, right?
Yeah. So what we have seen in some instances is where people have done that, and then sort of halfway through their annual contracts or whatever, they're getting consultants sort of pressurizing them to spend a bit more and buy some more jobs, which of course is not the best way to buy, because once you're in a position where you kind of seem a bit desperate, or there's a bit of urgency to buy some more ads, guess what? The job boards are going to start driving up your unit costs and stuff like that. So I suppose that's probably been the difficult thing, or the most challenging thing sort of pre-corona is sort of getting the balancing act right from sort of clients that want to spend less, job boards that want more money, and trying to understand really where the sweet spot is. Where is the return? That's what it's all about. You got to see that these boards are an investment. So it's yes, it's a product, but at the same time that there is the ability to get a return from these job boards, and understanding, okay, if you spend less, what does that mean for that return? What does that mean for your business? And you got to kind of got to have a bit of a strategy around it. It's sometimes I feel it's a bit too simple just to say let's spend less.
Yeah, we know, and still expect the same results. But I think the other thing also is, on both sides, you've had the job boards that would do, desperately try and get a deal done.
Yeah.
As you said, £10, it becomes £8, becomes £6, whatever.
Yeah.
And then the following year, try and make up that shortfall in terms of saying, well, we should have charged you £15, we charged you £6. So in actual fact, this year we're going to charge you 20.
Yeah.
And and then on the other side, where you've got the clients that are desperately trying to cut their spend.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes it can all become just about that one negotiation. And then once everyone's done the deal and they've signed the contracts, everyone goes back to doing what they were doing until the following year. Whereas actually, if you want to cut your spend, which is fair, you need to embrace the advice from the job board in terms of how do I get more candidates for less. But at the same time, then you've got a job board that's like, well, actually, I want them to spend more. So it is that sweet spot.
Yeah. And I think that's the key point is, trying to, so, okay, we can spend less, or we can get, better deals, and, we can do all of these things to try and improve your buying strategy. But what do you do once the contract's are live? That's the thing. So you might have saved some money, or you, on the flip side, you may have spent a bit more than what you wanted to, but that's not the end of it. Really where the magic happens, or when you get your money back, is during the contract, and it's having those sort of ongoing conversations with the account managers, with the likes of people like us who understand the industry. How do you get more, what do you do from a copy point of view? How do you improve your advert text? How do you ensure that you're utilizing all of the products? What tracking have you got in place? All of these things play a key part to what you actually save and the return that you get back. And again, this has always been the challenge of the industry, is we tend to look at things a bit black and white. Yes, I saved some money. Yes, I moved my unit cost down, and vice versa. And the job board's thinking the same way. Yes, we sold them some more jobs. Yes, we've made some growth this year. But actually, the growth and the savings is during the 12 months. That's where you have the impact, and that's where you get your returns. So.
Really, we're going to need to talk about what to do now, but really, actually, the money that you spend on job boards, you want that making you money. We're always focusing a lot on saving money, saving money on cutting costs, or cutting costs, cutting unit prices or whatever. But actually, I'm pretty sure that everyone would swap out a 10% reduction in cost for a 10% increase in revenues. So, but anyway, we could, this is why we we spend so long talking about some of these things because it's an interesting and deep-rooted subject. But so that's where we were at, and that was these are the conversation we were having. And then suddenly, March the 16th or whatever it was, lockdown happened, and recruitment stopped. We're seeing that we've got nearly half the amount of jobs that are available now. A lot of recruitment companies, furloughed their teams. Starting to see some of them come back now, which is brilliant. But before then, you've got companies that have signed, big money contracts month after month. No jobs to advertise. We had a lot of calls on that in terms of trying to help. What's been your experience with that?
Yeah, it's been really difficult, really difficult, especially for some of the smaller agencies. You essentially got a group of people or group of companies and organizations that have contracts that are not going to be able to be fully utilized this year. That's the bottom line. So whereas that you might sign up a contract 6 months ago or however long ago, you've planned for the year, and then all of a sudden we've been hit with this coronavirus, and all of a sudden the clients don't have the jobs or the requirements for you. So you've got 100 jobs a month, 200 jobs a month, whatever it is, and you may be down to now 20 or 30 jobs a month. So you've forked out, you've signed a contract, you're locked into that contract. The reason why the job boards offer the 12-month contract is they incentivize those rates. But once you're in, it's quite difficult to get out of. There's no sort of refund or cancellation policies. So now you're sort of left with this kind of, potentially a monthly bill each month and a huge surplus of credits. So I suppose my advice is speak to the job board, speak to your account managers, explain the situation. There's no real set offer from all of the job boards. I mean, there has been things that certain boards have done and put in place, extensions, payment breaks, etc. But there's no real kind of set long-term offering from each job board. So you need to kind of speak to each individual job board, speak to your account manager, explain the situation and see what can be done. I think realistically, you're probably not going to get the desired outcome. I think most clients have turned around to us and said, we want to cancel the contract and start again, but on a lesser volume. In a way, it kind of makes sense, but the difficulty, I think, for the job boards is they paid out commission. This is where the problem lies. So whilst in theory, if you've got 100 jobs a month and you want to kind of stop that today, happy to sign up to another 12 months, but just reduce it to 30 jobs a month or whatever, then actually that kind of seems like quite a fair kind of compromise. But the difficulty, I think, from the job board's point of view is that they paid out commission on these contracts. We all know that they're sales-driven organizations, so their targets and commission structures are quite good. But with that, they paid out bonuses. How are the businesses then going to cancel those commissions and sort of recoup them back? I don't know. It seems a bit complicated for them to do. So they've obviously been unwilling to do that. But I would speak to them. I would see what they can do. Contract extensions, extended payment terms, all of these things can help. I think also, if push comes to shove and you have got a surplus amount of credits or product, try and use those up. I mean, the good thing about the boards at the moment is there's a lot of candidates on there. So from an attraction point of view, right now is actually a good time to recruit. The difficult thing is there's not many jobs. So if you kind of are stuck and locked into this contract and there's kind of no way out, and you've got this kind of surplus amount of credits, maybe look at posting the same jobs every week. You're not going to be able to use them up anyway. So your jobs go live for 4 weeks, but why not flood the job boards a bit and ensure that your jobs are always at the top of the pile and reeling in all of the candidates that are on there. It's a really good time to build a pipeline. And it's a really good time to now, obviously got to be careful. I'm not talking about pushing out fake jobs, to kind of get candidates, which we know certain companies have done in the past, which is, totally against the rules. But, post out your jobs. And if after a week you're still recruiting for that job, post it out again, go back to the top of the list, get to the top of the list, get some more visibility and pull the candidates that are live on the site that week, because you can bet your bottom dollar people are getting made redundant left, right and center at the moment. So each and every week there are new candidates on these sites, and you need to make sure that your jobs are at the top of the pile in order to pull these candidates. And of course, you're going to get a higher volume of applications. They're not all going to be suitable for that job, but once they're into your business, you've now got the opportunity to prep that candidate, talk to that candidate, and start planning for the future. Because the reality is, or we hope the reality is, this is going to pass at some stage, or we hope it's going to pass. Otherwise, it's going to be a very dim future. But yeah, we've got to stay positive. And once the economy does get back on track, and once things do pick up, there is the potential of a bit of a boom, you know, in the recruitment industry, because companies are going to be a bit short in terms of, you know, staff, staff and their workforce. So I would try and, where you can, utilize, you know, you may have a minimal amount of jobs that you have available that you can recruit for, but you know, really use those jobs to get out to the market and engage with the candidates that are available, because there's a lot of people looking for work and looking to speak to recruitment agencies at the moment. So
I think just seen Kristen has just said that, you know, most sites have been extremely understanding and reasonable with us, which is nice, because I mean, I think we've seen sort of the good, the bad, and the ugly, with some sites being really helpful
yeah,
and understanding, and others being a
yeah,
bit more, I guess, protective of their own business, which you can understand. You know, I think the main thing is, you know, a little bit like the sort of general advice when you can't afford to pay your bills and all that sort of stuff. You know, talk to the people and try and keep come to a compromise, because you know, it's easy sometimes to bash the job boards, you know, because we see them as big faceless corporations. A
yeah,
lot of them are just companies,
yeah.
you know, same size as ours, trying to, you know, save jobs and save their own business. So I think there's
And I
got to
think
be a level of understanding.
sometimes in these instances, it's kind of your automatic reaction is, well, I want to speak to a manager, I want to speak to somebody senior. But actually, your account manager is probably the best person to speak to, because they you know, their targets are going to be hit. You know, they need to retain as much business as possible, because, you know, people's jobs are on the line here. So these are the guys that will be able to think a little bit outside of the box, be a bit creative. They're going to understand your business. They're going to understand how your job board accounts are set up, how, you know, the type of jobs that you guys recruit for, and also potentially markets that you could dip into. This is the other thing. What a lot of people don't talk about at the moment is some areas have been hit massively from coronavirus. We know that, but other areas are booming. You know, they're doing really well. And these job boards, actually, they have the insight as to what jobs are being posted, what markets are doing well, and where the candidates are. So open up that dialogue. You know, if you're a recruitment agency, you know, okay, you might be specialized, but it's not that difficult. You know, most recruitment agencies have a good set of core people that have been recruiters for a long time, you know, and have worked in various different areas and specialisms. So actually, it's not that difficult to be a bit agile, and for the moment move around and start focusing on some other areas. You know, tap up some of your old contacts, you know, that maybe used to work in your industry but have moved somewhere else. That industry is doing well. Say, hey, look, you know, I think I've got some candidates for you. I think we might be able to do something. So
Do you know what? One thing that I think is really, really important, and it's probably not talked enough about, but and this applies to both job boards. So, you know, if we've got any job boards listening, you know, it applies as much to you guys as it does to recruitment agencies. But think about your brand. Think about your brand in this, because how you know, as you've said, Tom, you know, hopefully, you know, this will pass, and the way that you act now will be the way that you're probably going to be treated in the future. So if you're talking to your job board now and you're, you know, outright flat refusing to pay them a single penny until they do this, this, and this, you know, just be careful that when you come back in a year's time or 2 years' time, your name isn't, you know, on a whiteboard somewhere, and you don't receive the you know, the pricing that you've got. Yeah, you can go to other job boards and you can go and see elsewhere, but you know, just be careful how you treat the job boards. And job boards, just be careful, you know, that you're treating your clients in a certain way. You know, when the market comes back, your account managers, your salespeople are going to be ringing that company and saying, hey, I'm from so-and-so jobs. I want to talk to you about, we've got some great candidates. And they're just going to say, no, because where were you?
Yep.
Where were you during the time I needed you? And kind of vice versa. So, just have that in mind, that the way you treat people now will come back. Some people have got long memories.
Yeah. I think that's a really valid point, is you don't want to leave a bitter taste in anybody's mouth during these times, because again, if this all passes, we're all responsible for getting the economy back up and running. Every single business is going to have a part to play, and we're all going to have to spend some money. That's the only way that we're going to kickstart things, is we're all going to go off and have to buy things from other companies. That's the only way we're all going to kind of survive. So yeah, I think it's important, and especially with the job boards, I think how you treat clients now will kind of stand in the future, because you've got to remember as well, is as we start to come out of this, companies that maybe have used 5, 6, 7 job boards at one time might not necessarily need to do that, because the job boards are going to be inundated with candidates. So what you might see now, short term, over the next sort of 2 years or so, is people go from having multiple job boards to maybe 2 or 3, and being able to rely on that, because there's enough candidates around for that kind of strategy to work. So I think it's quite, I think it's just kind of human nature. You're going to kind of look after the people that looked after you in times of need. So I think that's a really important point.
Well, let's think about like that then for a minute. Let's just pretend for a moment that lockdown is easing, and I suppose we're all probably a bit cautiously hoping that a second wave doesn't happen and we will go back into lockdown. I certainly missed the pubs being open, and I want to be able to go ahead and do that. And I think if they close the pubs again, I think that's it for me. I think I'm done. So we don't want that to happen, but let's just assume that things start to ease and things keep getting better. What are we? What should clients be doing now? They've weathered their way through this. Recruitment's starting to come back. What now?
So I think the sort of initial thought, or what a lot of people think, is, well, we need to reduce our usage and potentially look at shorter term contracts. Reducing the usage, yes. Shorter term contracts, I'm not sure is the best way to go. Once the job boards like you on 12-month contracts. Also, you kind of need to be on a 12-month contract. The reality is the job board is not going to perform every day, each week, each month. It's kind of.
They're going to change that, though. I mean, a 12-month contract.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they're going to, if you go on to an Indeed, or you go on to PPC or whatever it is, everyone wants you on a 12-month contract.
Well, performance-based marketing is probably the other argument for coming out of coronavirus.
No way I'm ever signing a 12-month contract again. There's your answer.
Yeah. So, I mean, yes, look, performance-based marketing provides you with a completely different structure and a way to post out your ads. So it's probably more suited to once we come out of coronavirus, because you've got the ability to spend based on what you get. But the difficulty recruitment agencies are going to have is they're not used to this pay-per-click model. It's different. It's more complicated than the job board model. So you kind of need to invest a bit of money into pay-per-click, gather some data, and then will you start to be able to reap the benefits. So how many people are going to be prepared to kind of take a bit of a punt initially and kind of build up that data, and try and find their feet in the pay-per-click market after just being hit by coronavirus. But there's definitely some huge benefits for looking at performance-based marketing. I know the 12-month contract does sound daunting, but my suggestion would be, because the problem you're going to have is once you come out of the 12-month contract, you're going to be penalized by the job boards. Your unit rates are going to go sky high and you're not going to be incentivized. What I would try and suggest, and this is maybe where the job boards might start to change things, is okay, well, you have a 12-month contract on some lower usage, but you have predetermined unit rates to top up and bulk up that account. So what you're doing is you're committing to 12 months, but you're actually committing to a smaller level of inventory that you know, regardless of what happens, you're probably going to be able to use over the next 12 months. And if you can predetermine or pre-agree the cost of some more views, some more jobs, etc., you can then plan to kind of bulk up throughout that year should things start to pick up. And then, of course, if things continue to be a bit slow, although you've signed to a 12-month contract, the usage levels are quite low and the monthly investment is quite low, so you can kind of manage the time. So I think that's maybe one of the ways to go.
So I think the job boards need the investment, don't they? They, you know, and they get that security with a 12-month contract. I think we're going to see I think the performance kind of routes, they need to change because, as you said, you know, the one challenge that we've kind of had is it's so complex to get, you know, normally get it set up with, you know, code on your website and all this sort of stuff. You know, for the general kind of recruitment bit, doesn't happen. So they've struggled there a little bit, and I think, but also the job board have got to change. I think the job board have got to change.
100%. 100%. Just going back to the performance-based marketing, is you need resource internally. You need somebody managing these performance accounts, and, you know, storing the data, reviewing the analytics, and then making the right decisions moving forward. Because the thing is with performance-based, it's all adjustable. You can chop and change your spend based on the market and where the traffic is. And if you haven't got a good if you haven't got any visibility on the traffic or the landscape, you're not really going to know what to pay per click. You're not going to know how much you've got to spend until you generate an application or until you make a hire, etc. And to have somebody to do that, a recruitment consultant probably isn't. You know, a recruitment consultant is used to getting their jobs out, banging it out online, applications come in, and then placing candidates. They're not necessarily, you know, most recruitment consultants are quite salesy. You know, these are salespeople. They you know, they're interested in the human element of the job. You know, talking to candidates, talking to clients, and, you know, generating revenues and all of this type of stuff. Whereas, you know, having someone to kind of utilize your PPC campaigns needs to be a bit analytical. You know, needs to have a bit more of a marketing sort of focus.
But that's another cost for the company, isn't it? You know, this, I think whatever happens, it just needs to be easier. I think however you do it, it just needs to be easier to be able to get those jobs out. And you know, just, you don't want to be able to have to talk to your web developers or whatever to try and put some code in. You don't want to have everyone kind of PPC trained to be able to do some advertising. Right.
Well, is the time now for cost per application? You know, CV Library have been playing around with this over the last 12 months. I'm not sure if they have officially launched it. I know they're doing it, but not everybody knows about it. You know, is this the time now when you're buying job boards? Are we looking at cost per application rather than, you know, buying ads?
Maybe, yeah. I think there's, you know, there's certainly change. You know, I think the one thing also that is going to happen is we are expecting, you know, unemployment figures to rise quite considerably. You know, you've already touched on the fact that maybe someone's not using 4 or 5 sites; they might use 1 or 2. You know, I think that's a real big threat and an opportunity for job boards and for clients alike, for definite. And I think there's going to be more pressure on, actually, you know, we go back to the whole thing of job copy, pressure on, you know, having good quality ads that are running and not just rehashed job descriptions coming out from an ATS. To, you know, back in, you know, kind of pre-COVID was more to try and attract the talent, and now we want to try and filter the talent with what you're doing. But, you know, I definitely think there's we have to keep in mind that we have to provide a good quality service for the candidates.
Yeah, and you've also, I suppose, as an agency, you've got to look at the internal changes that your organisation has made. You know, you know, companies have been restructured right now. So what kind of impact is that going to have on the delivery process? So you might get your you might come up with an idea or strategy on how best to buy your job boards, but what then happens when those candidates start to come through? You got to think about redefining those strategies. And I think this is the key point to everything now is that companies have got to understand that they cannot continue as normal, or what they've done before is not necessarily going to work in the future. Gonna have to rip up some of these hymn sheets and kind of start redesigning your processes. And really, this is the time to do it. Now that things are quiet, start looking at all of your process, all of your recruitment process. How do you operate as a business? Now you've got a bit of quiet time. Start thinking about that. And that's not just your job boards. What tech are you guys using? What about the tech that's linked to your job boards? How are you getting these job boards out? How are you getting these job ads out? How are you tracking the usage? We said, people might not be as keen to sign up to 12-month contracts. Okay, so if you move to smaller contracts, 3 months, 6 months, you're going to have some serious tracking in place. Because if you're talking about generating a mobile buying strategy where you're going from board to board based on where the traffic is, or based on based on the jobs that are coming in, you're going to have some serious tracking in place. You're going to have the analytics available to you, so each 3 months you can switch up your purchases and go to the board where they've got the traffic based on the jobs that you've got coming in, and also that you're buying the correct amount for those shorter term contracts in terms of usage. So you're going to need the right tech to help create some of that automation and then provide the analytics as well. So
what do you think about these job slots then? Kristen just said about refreshable job slots, and some job boards use it and some job boards don't.
Yeah, I think it is a really viable option for now. The problem you've got is job slots aren't sold to recruitment agencies. That's the problem. The job boards, pretty much, there's not many in the UK. There's more, if you go globally, the job slots seem to be more commonly utilized. But in the UK, if you look at the major boards that most agencies are using, there's not necessarily a slot option. And even if there is, it's more geared to the direct employer than it is the recruitment agency.
Got a question over volumes as well, haven't you?
This is where we might have to start putting a bit of.
We might have to put a bit of something in there. I don't know. We've lost you there, Tom. I'm going to carry on that. They put a bit of pressure on the job boards to change. I don't know. But I think, whatever Tom was going to finish saying.
Did you lose me?
Yeah, we lost you. And I tried to finish your sentence for you. And I was thinking you were going to say a bit of pressure on job boards. Was that right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So sort of, a bit of pressure to the job boards now, and sort of saying to them, look, things have changed. We've restructured our organizations. We have to change the way that we work now with our clients. So you need to start looking at your products and how you're gonna change your products now to kind of help with
well, I think they'll definitely do that, won't they? Because I mean, they're gonna want to try and find the optimum way in which they can deliver the most candidates for a client for the I guess for the most money. And if they are going to now have to compete with other, broadly, it's been accepted that you're on, Total Jobs, Read, Job Site, CV Library, Monster, you're across all of them. You might change your amount, but now it may be that you're just going to I'm just going to go on one board. Yeah. So each job board is going to want to deliver the maximum value for the money and take all of the budget.
Yeah.
Rather than just 1/5 of it or 2/5 of it or whatever it is. I'm just getting conscious of time, and we're hoping to be. Originally, we talked about wrapping up after between you and I about half an hour. I think we could run this for about 2 hours, but I think in the next few minutes we'll let everyone get on with the rest of their day. But where do you see the opportunity? We're talking about job boards got to do this, clients got to do that. where's the opportunity? Let's end on a positive here.
Mhm.
And what's out there for people. I mean, it's a great time to buy, right? If you're setting
Yeah.
up a business or
Yeah.
you go.
Really good time to buy, especially if you're new to the job board. So maybe this is a bit of time for change. You're not going to get as good of a deal on a renewal as you are as if you move to a new platform. So if there's an opportunity to do that, and it's a good time to do that because no matter the board, they're going to have an influx in candidates and applications to your jobs. So maybe now is a good time to kind of maybe change things up a bit. Some of the things that some of the boards have been doing, 14 months, 15 months of the price of 12, that can kind of help, essentially getting a few months free CV database and a couple of extra months to kind of spread your jobs out over. We know that when it comes to renewal, job boards have been quite reluctant to roll over jobs over the last 18 months. We've seen a bit of a shift in terms of their mentality around that. They're trying to stop that and kind of only really do their distribution. But I think that's opened up again.
Kind of losing you again there, Tom. I think for me, there's a huge opportunity for companies. I think this whole thing's been a bit of a leveler, and there are companies out there that have never been able to hire the kind of the gold star talent, the best people in the industry,
Yeah.
and they've competed and worked hard against that. Now I think there's if the number one message that I'm saying to people at the moment is maintain your standards when it comes to your candidate experience and your candidate journey. You now have the opportunity to hire people that to be honest, may not have looked at your organization at that particular time. You've now got the opportunity to hire super talent that will take your business forward. Whether or not you're a client or you're a recruitment agency, there are people now that will take your business forward. So this is a time for all companies. If you can get it right, you can come out of this and you can leapfrog your competition. Whereas prior to this, it was you were struggling to keep up or struggling to kind of overtake, or you just couldn't create that sort of shift in market share. You have that opportunity now, and the way that you recruit plays a part on that, and the way that you engage with your job boards and your media channels will make that happen. That for me is the biggest opportunity, and that's quite an exciting opportunity, I think, for us as a business and for our clients and for every business out there, really.
Absolutely. And there's the opportunity to get a bit closer to your clients right now as well. I don't know how other people have found things, but people are a little bit more open at the moment. This is a time for change. So people are looking at new ways of doing things. And when you are looking at new ways, what's the first thing you do? You reach out to your suppliers and you start talking about your plans and your goals and what you want to do. And you start to look at a group of companies or organizations that kind of around you that can kind of help you get there. And recruitment agencies will be one of those businesses. So get closer to your clients, talk to them. Your clients have probably got, there's definitely a lot of companies that are fearful on how to recruit right now. How do we recruit? Okay, we've got all this gold star talent around, but how do we actually get them into our business? So, this is an opportunity for the recruitment agencies to show them how to do that, because people are hiring. That's the fact. People are hiring in these times, and there is technology that can be used to hire people remotely. Yes, it comes with its challenges. It's difficult. We know that, but you can onboard people and get them into businesses right now. There are ways to do it, and I think that recruitment agencies are primed to kind of set up these processes for their clients, and if they can do that, they can get closer. So there's an opportunity now for the recruitment agencies to attract these A players, and then demonstrate to their clients how they can get these A players into their business, and also how these A players are then going to transform their business moving forward. Because if we're all trying to be optimistic and saying there's light at the end of the tunnel. Now's the time for future planning, isn't it? Really. And so I think there's a real opportunity to get really close. And what's every agency's dream? Exclusive partnerships. This is it, isn't it? Exclusive partnerships, supplier of choice. This is what they want to be with their clients. And I think now's the time that you can start to build on that and get close to them. And what better, if you've got the infrastructure, if you can present to them the infrastructure of how to get the people in, and then you've actually got the people, because let's face it, this is a bit of a benefit to coronavirus. Prior to coronavirus, there was a candidate shortage, and it was really difficult to find good candidates. I'm not convinced that problem has gone away, but we've just kind of moved the problem around a bit. But for now, there are some really good people that have lost their job and are willing and raring to kind of get going in another organization. So we should see that as a benefit. And agencies should be jumping on that, but trying to convince their clients to create the jobs, because I think that's where the problem lies, is that although the candidates are available, there's still a limited amount of jobs around. If recruitment agencies can start to build this infrastructure and get clients opening up jobs again, there's a real opportunity to get some really good people into your business.
Agreed. Tom, you and I could probably talk about this for the rest of the day. I think
I'll go buy some job board space.
We'll start to wind it. We will wind it up from there. I hope that has been of use to you guys who have been watching. Thanks for Christian for your comments on the side. We are planning some more of these over the coming weeks. So if you liked what you saw or seeing, then please do spread the word and share on LinkedIn and social media and the like. If there's anything specifically you want us to cover or answer in the future, then do just get in touch with us social media wise as well. And hopefully that was of use to you guys. You enjoyed our ramblings for
hopefully there was some nuggets inside of our us babbling on about all of the different things, but
try and find them somewhere. So I will say thank you very much to everyone, and hopefully we'll see you on the next one. So
cheers guys, see you later.
Take
Bye
care.